Okay, so let's build our own activity within SeeSaw. So we're starting in our activity library, in your very own library, and you will click Create New Activity. And this is where you will start to build it. So I will give my activity a name. And then I will give my students the instructions. And remember, this is where you're going to want to have those codes handy so that you can also give your students some visual instructions as well. So the first thing I'm going to want them to do, because I know for this activity, I'm not going to add a template for them to use. I'm going to want them to use the camera, and the code for this is :photo. I want them to take a picture of something in the room they're in. Oops. And as you can see, it has spell check. Then I want them to use the pen to draw around 3 shapes you notice in your picture. Then they're going to use the microphone to explain something about each shape. You might want to use the word characteristic or attribute depending on your grade level and the vocabulary your students are used to. And mark when done. So I know I have little students, so I want them to be a little bit more independent. I know they can't read this, so I'm going to add some voice instructions. I'm going to click record, and I'm just going to read everything that's here so that they can listen to it and be independent and not need me or not need their parents to help them. So I'm just going to click record just so you can get the idea. I won't waste our time going through all of that. Once we stop, it's processed, and here's the link. Now I want to give them an example. So I'm going to add some multimedia instructions. Now I can add any of these things here that I want for them, but in this case, I'm going to do what I asked them to do, which is to take a photo. So I'm going to click on photo. I'm going to take a picture of my space. Okay. And I'm going to do exactly what I asked them to do. So I'm going to record as I draw. They might draw and then record. Either way is perfectly fine. So I click the microphone and I can wait. This is a rectangle, and a rectangle has 4 sides. This is a triangle, and a triangle has 3 sides. This is a circle, and a circle has no sides. So I stop recording, and I click done. I can listen to it and make sure I'm happy with it. And I click the green check mark. Okay. I cannot add another page because I'm using the free version. Same with students. They won't be able to add multiple pages on the free version. So now here is what the activity the students will see. This is where I would add a template if I wanted them to work on a specific thing, but I'm going to show you what it looks like for the students in a second. So I'm going to click Save. And I'm going to assign. I'm going to check and make sure all my icons are correct, make sure I didn't mess up my code. I'm going to listen to my directions, make sure I'm happy with that. Click Assign. I'm going to test it out myself, so I'm going to be the sample student. If I was assigning it to all my students, I would probably choose a folder that I would want it in as well. I'm going to assign to one class, and here I can see it's only going to one student. Okay. So now let me test it out as my sample student. So I'm going to add my response. So this is what students are going to see in their activity section. So I'm going to add my response as a sample student. And if I don't remember what it asked me to do, I'm going to view the instructions, and I can listen to the instructions as well if I wish. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is what students are going to see. They're going to take their picture, and it's going to be just like I did for creating my example for them. I'll have all the same tools and everything. So let's take a look at creating an activity using a template. I'm not going to take the time to do everything that I just did, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and edit what I just created. And I'm going to add a template for student responses. So I'm going to put a drawing in. Okay, and perhaps for this assignment, I want them to, classify some drawings. So maybe I'm going to put in a background. So you see here, I have some shapes and stuff. So maybe actually I'm going to change up my mind. So here is my background. Okay, close out of that. And maybe I would like them on this to draw specific shapes in this case. And this is all I'm going to give them. I can go ahead and I can use that camera and I can upload a photo that I have already pulled from somewhere else. Or I can take a photo. If you're going to add some recordings, that is going to take away the ability to add anything else. So that's something you'd want to explore and do last. I can also put a text box in here if I wish for students just to kind of give them more directions. And again, here's background, or I can put some shapes in. So maybe I would do an example if I wanted to. Okay, move that around. So maybe they can kind of see what I'm looking for. Okay, check that off. And my template is added right down there, ready for them to work on. So when I'm a student assigned this, I would go ahead and click on the template to edit.